lovelies, and welcome to Chronically Overdressed. Today I want to talk about a hairstyling tool that I have been utilizing quite a bit lately, and those are hairnets and its cousin, the Snood. While both are similar in function and they're both basically hairnets, I do want to differentiate between the two because they are used slightly differently when you're styling your hair. A hairnet is typically made of nylon or silk or another light weave fiber, and it comes in traditional hair colors, so it's meant to be more invisible on the hair. So your hairstyle actually can be seen through the mesh. A snood has typically a looser fit and a larger mesh, usually knitted or crocheted out of a thick yarn of various colors, so it basically hides or covers the hair. A snood can also be made out of a cloth or a scarf to gather the hair and tie it on top of the head to create a similar silhouette. Since I've moved to Hawaii, I've actually been wearing hairnets and snoods several times a week just to help preserve my curls and keep my hair from getting too poofy or whipped around by the wind. Have I mentioned that it's really windy here? Hairnets and snoods have been around for ages. The oldest evidence of a hairnet was actually found in a 3,300-year-old grave of a Bronze Age Nordic girl, which was discovered outside of Denmark in 1921. Later examples have been uncovered from ancient Greece, and of course most of us are familiar with the snoods and hairnets worn from the 13th century onwards in England. While women generally wore their hair quite long, the various hairstyles over the years called for the hair to be gathered up and worn on up and off of their neck. So many of these hairstyles required some sort of hairnet, to help keep the hair in place. By the 1920s, short bobbed hair was becoming the fashion, and sales of hairnets steadily declined. So a hairnet manufacturer named Veneta hired a public relations expert to help boost the business by starting to talk to labor and safety experts about the dangers of loose hair getting caught in machinery. He also helped promote the idea that germs from the hair could be spread from food service workers. So states began passing laws requiring certain workers to wear hairnets, and sales for those hairnets increased once again. During World War II, snoods and hairnets became ubiquitous, along with hair turbans for women working in factories and on heavy machinery, as an equally stylish and functional way of keeping the hair safely out of the way. Of course, we still see hairnets used today as a safety measure, but wearing hairnets and snoods in a modern styling has sadly gone by the wayside. I have a collection of vintage hairnets and packaging, and luckily you can still purchase a lot of these hairnets from the Jaconet company, mostly at beauty supply stores or even on Amazon. Snoods are also readily available, as are knitting and crocheting patterns if you happen to possess the talent. Sadly, I do not. I typically wear my hairnets and snoods obviously on the back of my hair, usually in a half up, half down hairstyle. And the hairnet really helps to preserve my curls and waves by keeping it in place so the wind and humidity doesn't wreak havoc on it. Snoods can come in many different varieties. I have a few of these kind of heavier weave crocheted ones. I also have some of these kind of lighter, I think they're probably acrylic yarn, and they tend to be a little bit shinier like this. And I have a couple of these really interesting ones that have a ribbon attached. And this just kind of sits along the back and kind of pull your hair up that way. It doesn't completely cover your hair, but it's nice to have a little bit of a kind of a basket at the bottom of your hair. And this is another similar one. This one actually has the kind of a pouch for your hair to sit in. So same thing with the ribbon, and you just tie it up at the top. One of my favorite hairnets that I have is actually from the Vanita company. And it is this stunningly gorgeous beaded hairnet. You can see some of these beautiful kind of crystal beads on there. And I just love this. It gives so much pizzazz to your hair. It's kind of a gray color of the netting. So it really stands out when my hair's darker as well. But I just love this one. Hairnets and snoods are not only a great way to just help preserve your curls, preserve your set, but they really work as a fantastic kind of lazy hairstyle tool. So if you don't really want to do your hair, or let's say maybe your set just didn't turn out the way that you wanted to, you can easily put it in a hairnet, put it in a snood if you want to cover it completely. And you know, it's one of those kind of lazy hairstyles that you will probably get a lot of compliments on. So get yourself a few hairnets, try them out. They're so functional. They can be used in so many different ways. If you've watched my wet set video, you know that I actually put a hairnet on after I put in my rollers. And again, it just kind of keeps everything in one place. Whenever I do wear a snood, I put on an invisible hairnet first. And that, again, kind of keeps everything together. It doesn't allow any of the hair to kind of start creeping through some of the larger holes of the mesh of the snood. It's just an added layer of protection, basically, for my hair. I hope you enjoyed this information on an incredibly useful hairstyling tool, and I encourage you to find some hairstyles that you can use with hairnets and snoods. I'll see you soon. Bye!
I'd love to walk in on those cozy country cousins of mine.